Okay, good day, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. So, for this class, we're going to be doing the same thing like we did for the last class. So, week 4, week 5, in the same PowerPoint slides. And then we're going to be having a quiz next week. We're going to be going live in class like we did yesterday. So, guys, please watch this and so you guys can be prepped for our live sessions. All right, here we go. So this is week 4 for global marketing management. We're talking about global information systems. So when you think of information, when you hear the term information technology, IT, what do you think? What does it mean, information technology? So basically it's the study, design, development, implementation, support, or management of computer-based information systems, okay? Particularly software applications and computer hardware. IT workers help ensure that computers work well for people. Nearly every company, from the software design firm to the biggest manufacturer to the smallest mom and pop store, needs information technology workers to keep their businesses running smoothly. You guys obviously know a lot about information technology. Coming from India, IT is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest services that India offers. A lot of companies use BPOs, like we were discussing in the last course, yesterday's course. They use BPOs such as India's IT companies in order to fix their solutions and do customer support and develop and implement their computer-based systems. So, how does information technology um, how does it help in the decision making process? Okay, so if you need to make a decision for your company, what role does IT play in that? Okay, so in all business areas, making decisions is a natural, integral part of any company's management process, obviously, right? You know, in business, you're making decisions every day in order to try and get to the point where you believe you need to get to. So you'll do the things that you believe are right in order to get to that position. So it doesn't matter if it's a small family business or a huge multinational corporation. At some point or another, they all need to make decisions to ensure their continued operation. I'm sure you guys all agree with that. It's businesses is like everyday life, right? You always have to make decisions, like decisions to watch this YouTube slide all the way to the end, understand it, so you can get grades during the class, during the live lecture. That is a decision. So in the past, all managers had to rely on their decision making, which was pretty much just their experience, their limited knowledge, and their instinct. Okay, and sometimes just plain old guesswork. They would just guess. Okay, so that's the past. They would just rely on their experience, their knowledge, and their instinct. But today, thanks to technology, decision makers have an enormous amount of data, making the process a lot easier. So I always say this, and it's coming. I'm a '90s baby. Okay, so I grew up in an age where technology was just starting. Okay, so when I was growing up, I literally saw the advancement of cell phones. I was there when my uncle had a cell phone which was like this big, and we thought he was the coolest guy. Had this long antenna, and he would just put it to his ear, and he'd walk around, and he'd be having conversations. And then I got to the point where, I got a little older. I started seeing cell phones in cars. Like my dad's boss had a BMW, and he had a phone in his car, and I was like, God, how did you have a phone in your car? That's amazing. Cordless phones were amazing. Walking around the house without a cord, I used to see that too. I came from always having to yank on this cord and put the phone to my ear. You come from that, and then I started getting older, and I started seeing people with, like, cell phones started getting smaller and smaller. And then, when I was in grade 6, I think when I got my first cell phone, right? Because I used to play baseball, and I used to go to a bunch of different cities, and my mom said, you know what, I need to be in contact with you, so we have to get him a cell phone. So she got me this little Siemens M35. I still remember it. It was a little orange phone also, and And to me, I was like, wow, that is the nicest phone. Like, I was so happy because it looked so cool, and it didn't really have many games. It didn't really have much on it, but it was just a phone, right? And obviously, at that age, you have a phone, you're pretty cool. So went from there, and then it just started getting better progressively. Nokia started coming out with some really good phones. BlackBerry started coming out with some really good phones. The older I got, then I realized we are in an age right now where we have the entire world in our hand, in the palm of our hands. There's not one thing you can't go on here and research about. You know, people always say there's a song, he's got the whole world in his hands. There's a song called He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. That was a song made a long, long time ago. Okay? Before we even had cell phones. Now we actually have the whole world in our hands, and technology is just booming, and it's incredible. It's actually incredible what our phones can do. So that's basically now if for example, now taking it back to what we were talking about, a manager, let's just say that a manager has a decision he needs to make, and he doesn't know. He said, man, what should I do? I don't know if I should do this or do that, or what are the consequences of this and that. He can just pull out his cell phone, pull out his computer, start researching. We can read articles on Google. He can read business articles to see, hey, okay, well, what worked for people, what didn't work for people, and he can get his answer. Okay, guys? The whole world is at our fingertips. Okay, so let's take business intelligence, for example. Okay, firstly, it describes a technology-driven process that leverages various software solutions and services to transform data into actionable information and helps decision makers understand the current state of their company. Okay, basically what they're trying to say is it uses technology to kind of to derive data, right? To take data and turn that data into information. Okay, so um, um, they'll it's a little difficult to explain without having a real example, but there's a lot of computer systems that use algorithms and stuff like that in order to find out the trends and what's happening and all that in order for a company to come to decisions. So I think we spoke about this before. Like if you're using a logistics company, right? And you're inputting all their data, like how many times they were late, how many times they were on time, how many times the product was deficient, how many times all that stuff. Then you can come to a score of, okay, this we have to the data that you collected, the information system can collect that, and it can give the logistics company a score and then you can go and tell us, say, okay, you know what, this logistics company has scored 69 because they were late these many times, and it's all automated. 1 second, guys. It's okay. That's okay. Just close the door. Guys, this is literally my life. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. And I have two of those things, two of those little babies. Okay. In today's world, buy-centered tools are a critical component of any successful company strategy. They allow managers to streamline the effort needed to search for, combine, and quantify, obtain the information required for good decisions. So like we just said, we just talked about that. Okay, the second on the list, time tracking and activity tracking. Solutions, on the other hand, offer a great way to collect data. Stay on top of day-to-day activities or building keeping track of your team's expenses. Sounds simple enough, but the benefits of integrating a tool into your internal process can be quite significant. You can see what are your biggest profit drivers, right? You can study, analyze, and act on that information. So time tracking, activity tracking, that's also can be used in the logistics company, right? Like you can see how efficient your company is. Let's just say that a truck arrives at a certain time. How efficient is it from when the truck arrives to when your manufacturing plant has the product ready and loads it onto the truck? Okay, so you have data like that. You have time tracking, activity tracking. So if you have that, then you can see, okay, why is it taking? Okay, let's say it takes a little while for you to load that truck. Why is it taking so long for us to load that truck? How can we make that even faster so we can increase our profits, make our company more efficient, right? So these are the type of things, right? You have time tracking, activity tracking. You can also keep track of your team, how they work, how they come in and out, when they clock in, they clock out of the company, and how much do they produce in that time, right? If you're working in a manufacturing plant and you're manufacturing shoes and you have workers coming in, clocking in at 9 o'clock and clocking out at 3 o'clock, you can see how many shoes that person, that worker has helped to manufacture within those times, and you can take out and you can keep the people that you want, right? The ones who are more efficient, you keep them. The ones who are less efficient, you let them go. So that helps a lot. And AI, machine learning technology. That's the last one. So these are basically ways that AI helps businesses. So this sector has seen rapid growth in recent years. Today, the world's biggest and most innovative companies like Google, Amazon, and Facebook are already using AI-powered algorithms as part of their decision-making process. And evidence seems to suggest that over the coming years, the role of the AI-based system in making real-world decisions will only keep getting bigger. Guys, AI, artificial intelligence, right? What is that? These are the stuff that we watch movies on, right? Like iRobot, Wall-E, all these little robot movies, Terminator. That's all AI. These are all robots functioning and thinking for themselves, right? So the world is heading to a place where AI is literally taking over, right? AI is doing everything. Google, Amazon, Facebook, the biggest companies in the world are already using high-tech AI. So, for example, just last year, an AI-led hedge fund outperformed their human counterparts with annual returns of over 8.44%. Now, a hedge fund is a company that takes investors' money and invests it for them. Okay? Last year, there was a company that ran solely based off artificial intelligence. So a computer was running its algorithms. Okay? Computer is running its algorithms and trading these people's money. Okay? And then there was another company that had only people who were doing the trading. Okay? So it's computer versus human trading. And what we realized is that the company that had the AI, who just used AI, had 8.44% more annual returns. Guys, do you know how much 8.44% is in annual returns? If someone tells you, hey, give me $1 million, I'll give you 5% return, 7% return every year, that's a good deal. Now imagine a company comes and says, so the company who gives you 7% is run all by humans. Okay? Now another company comes and says, hey, listen, we use AI technology. We don't do any of the trading within our, no humans do trading in our company. Everyone is AI. So instead of the 7%, you're actually going to get 15%. So if you do the math on that, if you do $1 million multiplied by 7%, you're getting what, $70,000. Is that true? $70,000. Yes. 10% is 700,000. 1 million. 70% is 700,000. Yeah. So you're getting $70,000 on top of your million if you do the 7%. Imagine if you do 15%. If you get $150,000. So now these computers are getting people 70,000 instead of 70. They're getting $150,000 a year off of their 1 million. That's incredible. Okay. So the benefits of incorporating AI into your decision-making process are hard to deny, right? If you add AI to your company, to your businesses, you will see growth. You will see benefits. You will see improvement in efficiency, improvement in technology, right? So as we all know, it's faster, right? It can process a lot of data at once, and it doesn't suffer from decision fatigue, right? So if a human brain, we get fatigued, man. Like you work so, like you guys already know, when you work and you go to school, it's tough. Now imagine you had a computer who was working and going to school and going this and that. He could do a billion more things than you can. Put into a calculator, what's 100 million times 75,000? It's very tough for a human to just, okay, 100 million, there's a lot of zeros, you gotta do it. You put that in a calculator, you'll literally get it in split seconds. You'll get the answer. If you guys like gaming, if you ever played the AI, if you ever played the computer on a very hard level, chances are you've lost. So it's a scary thing, guys. It's a very scary thing, because if AI starts thinking for itself, we're all in a very, very difficult position. Okay? If AI starts thinking for itself, we start creating these artificial intelligence robots. Things are gonna get a little scary in the future. But you know what? That's not what we're talking about right now. But what we're really saying is AI and machine learning is really helping businesses get better. So like we were saying, a lot of executives are still reluctant to trust the opinion of a machine, even if it's very smart. So it's a little difficult to put your whole business into the hands of machines, right? Very difficult. How are you gonna explain to shareholders and to company officials that, oh, I made this decision based off the computer saying that I should do it, right? So what's the point of having you as an executive? Why isn't the machine an executive? So they they're really reluctant when it comes to that. Okay, what is perception? Okay, if you think about business, you got to think about perception, right? If you're trying to do anything, if you're trying to market globally, you're trying to sell something, whatever, you have to understand what perception is, right? So perception is organization, identification, and interpretation of sensory information in order to represent and understand the presented information or environment. So basically, what perception is the way you organize your thoughts, the way you think, the way you feel, all that stuff, everything that goes on in your head while you are looking at something or while you are observing something. Okay, if something's completely brand new to you, you're gonna start your perception on it is going to be extremely different than if you're looking at, let's just say you're looking at a car drive by. You're going to say, okay, yeah, that's a car driving by. But now if you see, when electric cars started coming out, people saw electric cars driving by, they said, what the heck? What is that? Like, how does that car not have an engine, right? It was a completely new thing to them. Okay, so that's what perception is. It's understanding the information that your environment is giving you. So, so all perceptions involve signals that go through the nervous system, which in turn result from physical or chemical stimulation of the sensory system. Okay, so if you're looking at something that stimulates you, like if you're looking at, let's say you're watching soccer, you see a goal and you're like, oh my God, what a wicked goal! It's awesome, it's stimulating, right? But if you're watching soccer and guys just running around, kicking the ball around, passing, kicking, passing, kicking, passing, you're not going to get stimulated. Okay, because you're just like, oh, okay, just kicking and just passing. You're really looking for that great goal. Okay, so there are 5 stages of perception. So first one is stimulation, second is organization, third is interpretation, fourth is memory, fifth is recall. So stimulation, okay? So stimulation, you have to be stimulated by something. Stimulation means when your mind starts, your mind kind of like it lights up a little bit. Okay, so you need some sort of stimulation. Okay, so when you're stimulated, something comes to your attention. So it's when something grabs your attention. Okay, the 5 senses stimulate people. So touch, feel, see, hear, whatever, all that stuff. Smell. So they include smelling, seeing, all that stuff. Your eyes are the most common receptors, obviously. Um, so that's everyone knows what stimulation is. Organization. Now your body is trying to organize the stuff that you're seeing. Like, okay, large amounts of your body spreads large amounts of information through the body. Your brain recognizes familiar ideas and concepts and connects them with past experiences, right? So you see a car, you look at it, it's like, oh, that's a nice car, but it's still a car. Okay, so now it's in your head. Okay, you saw a car, nice car. Oh, okay, yeah, I know what it is. I've seen it before. Or all that. So they help us arrange ideas in our minds with the help of patterns. Patterns help us group our ideas so that we can interpret them. What's interpretation? Now, when you're stimulated and you organize, okay, you've seen something. Now you're trying to interpret what is that. So you're seeing a brand new car. Okay, you're seeing an electric car. You're seeing a Tesla for the first time. You look at it, you say, wow. So now it has your attention. You're stimulated. Then you organize. Say, what is that? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that car. The shape of that car. All that stuff. What car is that? Then you start interpreting. Oh, okay. Is that an electric car? Is that an electric car? But then your memory starts coming. Oh, you know what? I've seen this before. I've heard about this before. And now that car is now etched into your head. Now you've seen it. Now it gets stuck in your head. You're like, oh, now your memory now it's part of your memory. And then the best part is of perception. Now you can recall. Okay, so you can look at that and say, you know what? Oh yeah, that's in my memory. Okay, I can recall it from when I watched it on YouTube that one time about Tesla. They're coming out with this new car. Okay, so that's basically the 5 stages of perception. So how perception plays a role in global decision-making process for global marketing. Okay, perception is a process by which individuals organize, interpret. We know that. It affects our way of thinking, how we deal with situations like making decision. We may make decisions based on our experiences, but there are some that has already the knowledge on how they will respond to that situation. Okay, so there are also some that they base their decision-making skills on their interest or their motives with it. There are factors that influence our perception in order to make decisions to perceive the target audience. Okay, so there's things that when you look at something and let's just say you're in business and you see someone behaving in a certain way. Okay, you see someone behaving in a certain way. There's different people who perceive that behavior differently. Okay, like in culture, if you're from a certain culture, right? Let's say you guys live in India, right? And people, I don't know. Let's say they think cows are sacred. Okay, they believe cows are sacred. That's their culture. That's their religion. Anyone who knows that is very respectful of that. But people who don't know that are going to ask, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? Right? So that's a perception. Some people's perceptions is different. Some people's perception is it works. Like they say, okay, I understand that. Okay. So there are a lot of things that should be considered in decision making. One thing that makes decision making difficult is our perception to what will be the outcome after making decision. Okay, so how perception is used in decision making. Now let's just say that there is there's an employee at the company, okay, and that employee is taking taking regular breaks he's taking breaks too often, okay, and it's harming your, even though he gets the job done all the time, it's harming the morale of the company because people are just like, how come he's getting to so many breaks and this and all that. So the company is all other workers are getting a little annoyed, a little irritated, right? They're saying, how come he's allowed to do it? But you look at his performance and he's one of the top performers in your company. Okay, so now you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, what do I do? Right? Now your perception's kicking in. You're seeing, okay, this guy makes a lot of money. He doesn't like staying in the office too much. Takes a lot of breaks. It's affecting my other guys. So how do I make a decision based off, like, what do I do based off the information provided? So you can go any certain way you want, but that's basically an example of perception, right? Okay, what do I do in this situation? We're not going to get into what the decision is going to be, but basically that's what your perception is. Another example of perception is if you're in business and you're marketing, your global marketing. Let's say you're global marketing from India into Canada. Okay, so you're coming from India to Canada. How do you market your business in Canada? Right? You gotta perceive things. You gotta look at the way people behave, or the things people buy, the way they react, and then you get to perceive. Okay, now I see what's happening. I need to make a decision based off of all the knowledge that I have. Right? So that's perception. That's how perception plays a role in decision making. Okay, guys. Week 5. Okay, market research process and tools. Okay, so we're just gonna. This is not. This is not going to be too crazy. We're just going to get into it quickly. So traditional market research, right? It's very easy. We know about traditional market research. Is a wide concept which incorporates advertising and marketing, involves various tools and techniques gathered to gather required data and information. It focuses more on taking an assessment of the overall market for a product or service. Experimenting focus groups, right? Focus groups. Focus groups are groups where you come together and you put a group together and you ask them questions and do tests on them and stuff to see how they react. Traditional market research has two ways of approaching the market for data collection. There's qualitative and quantitative. Okay. Qualitative research is a social science research based on non-numerical data. Okay, which means no numbers are involved. This is the stuff that this is like communicating with people, getting info back from people. So it gives us an understanding of social life by targeting the population or places and then conducting a detailed study on them. Qualitative analysis done by various observations, interviews, open-ended surveys, focus group, oral history. I will ask questions like this on the quiz. What are some ways that qualitative analysis is done? How do companies do a qualitative analysis? Okay. Quantitative analysis, quantitative research. Methods are majorly focused on measuring the objectives and analyzing statistical, mathematical, and numerical data gathered through various polls, surveys, and questionnaires. Okay, highly number-based. The other way of doing it is manipulating the pre-existing statistical data with the help of various computational techniques. It helps in gathering numerical data and then categorizing it among various people. Okay, quantitative. So basically you're using polls, surveys, questionnaires, mathematical and numerical data that you get from these people. So a quantitative research is, actually we'll get into that later. Okay, so 5 steps in market research process. So define problem. So if you're doing a market research, right, you have to go through these 5 steps in order to get to your conclusion. Okay, guys, this is super simple. Okay, first define the problem or opportunity. Okay, so you got to see, okay, what's happening? Is there a problem or is there an opportunity to make money? Is there a problem we need to fix or an opportunity where we can make money or we can increase our profits or increase our efficiency? Okay, yes, there is. In this situation, let's go with there's an opportunity for us. Okay, so develop your market research plan. Okay, there's an opportunity for us to become more efficient in our manufacturing process because there is there's some technology out there that we could implement that would help our business become more efficient. Okay, so now you develop your market research plan. Now you start looking for that technology. Who sells that technology? Where do you can get the technology from? You do all your market research on the technology, right? So there's a few techniques, right? You interview prospects and customers. You can interview the people, talk to the people who are selling that technology, right? Conduct a survey. You can take all those technologies, everyone you spoke to, you can take all that information, make a survey within your company and say, guys, this is the stuff we have. Who thinks what about each one of these products? Run user tests, and you can test those technologies. You can ask those guys, hey, can you send us a technology so we can try and use it first, so we can test it before we get into it, right? So you're doing your market research plan. Collect relevant data and information. So basically, kind of the same thing. You use your quantitative versus qualitative, right? You start doing you start running the numbers, see if the numbers are coming out right. The people are happy with it. You do all of that, right? To make sure that you're actually getting the benefit that you're looking for. Analyze data and report findings. Okay, so now you've used all these all this technology. You're trying to figure out now, is it worth it? Is it good for my company? So you analyze the data. So you look at all the data that you got from your qualitative and quantitative reports, and you say, okay, this is what's coming from each one of these technologies that we were looking at. Which one is the one that we want to go with? And then basically you put your research into action. So now you say, okay, after going through all the data, going through all that stuff, you found a solution. This is the best product for us. We want to go with this product. Why? Because it gives us this, and the market research shows this. That's why we're going with this product. And then you actually go with that product and you use it. Okay? So, guys, this is literally it's how you should be living your life. So, uh, there was one piece of advice that I heard um, just recently, actually. And people, you know how you have, so people get inspired by other people a lot. Okay, so they do what other people do, right? So you look at young people that say, "Ah, man, I want to be like that athlete. I want to do what the athlete's doing." Or I want to do what this business person is doing. This business person, he did this, he did that, he did. One of the best piece of advice I just recently got was, don't think like a person. Don't operate how a person operates. Don't study a person. Study businesses. Study businesses. Why? Why study business versus study people? When you study a business, you are looking at a collective of a bunch of intelligent minds. Like, for example, Coca-Cola. Study Amazon. What is Amazon doing? Not what's Jeff Bezos doing. What's Amazon doing? What's Microsoft doing? What's Google doing? Not what's Bill Gates doing. Not what's the guy from Google, I forget his name. What is he doing? Not the CEO. Um, don't study those guys. Study what the actual company is doing. Okay, so in this situation, this is what a company would do, right? They do their 5 steps in market research process. So it's like that for anything, right? Like if you're choosing which school to go to, right? You want to do your market research. You want to go in, you want to find the school, talk to the school, check out the schools, walk through the schools, do all this, check out the people, get reviews, get all that. Okay, come back home, say, okay, this. Okay, you know what? I choose to go to this school. Right, guys? Very simple. All right, so that's the end of slides. You guys have a quiz due next week. There will be a question posted after this class, after we go live. Make sure you guys do that, guys. Same old thing that we do every day, every week. We did this yesterday, so we'll do it again today. So I'll see you guys on live. Make sure you guys watch the slides. Thanks, guys.